In today's video, we're going to be talking about actually buckling down to get our results sooner than later, right? I know a lot of you guys, especially with Valentine's Day coming right around the corner, are in some form of desperation mode, and some of you are wanting to get results sooner than later. And even if you're not manifesting love, if you're just manifesting money or something else, it doesn't matter. This video will apply to you as well, so don't be afraid about, the topic and what we're going to be covering. This all applies to whatever goal, because we're going to be talking about deeper concepts. We're not just talking about one thing. So that being said, let's just dive right into it. And as you know, I'm Michael from EmbodyTheState.com. And for those of you that are new, welcome aboard, guys. It's a pleasure having you. And all I ask is if this video gives you any value, just hit that like button so that other people can see it and they can benefit the same way that you are. So a lot of you guys really are doing something, especially some people I work with, right? And you might be guilty of this if you're just a viewer as well. But lately, I've been having people come to me and they're telling me my mental diet is great. I'm doing everything perfect. And then in the same sentence, they're like complaining about things that are going wrong and there's no movement or this or that or blah, blah, blah. And that's where the mistake lies. And this is what we're going to kind of talk about in a little bit. We're sprinkling a bunch of stuff in here. And you guys have to realize that if you want your results, especially if you want them, within days, weeks, whatever it may be. And yes, I understand some people are going to say, oh, everything has its own appointed hour and blah, blah, blah. But keep in mind as well, Neville also says that, once a belief has become natural to you, it became natural to you, that's when it comes, right? And from my experience, and remember, you guys know my story if you're not new here, I picked up the law. I read one book and a couple lectures, and it made sense. I was like, this makes so much sense. And I looked at my past and all the bad stuff that happened and the good. And I realized, wait, I was returning to the bad, so the bad stuff happened. And same thing with the good. And I was like, this makes sense, so I'm going to try it. And, I got my first ever big result in like 3 days, on the third day, right? And then same thing, repeated success, 3 days later. And I'm just not to say that everything I do comes in days, right? But if you guys want something sooner than later, right? It's not about, manifest in 2 days or 1 day or whatever. Understand it's a possibility. It's a very strong possibility. Keep that in mind, right? But it can also take a week. It can take whatever. It depends how long it takes for you to manifest, in other words, to change your beliefs to manifest. So when you want to manifest something sooner than later, so let's say you guys are worried about Valentine's Day and you want to have your partner reach out or something happen or get flowers sent to you, or vice versa. If you're a guy, maybe you want to, that girl to allow you to take her out on Valentine's Day or something, right? You want something to happen. You got to realize starting now, after you watch this video, buckle down, and I'm going to show you guys how a little bit. But it's all about mental diet. It's all about what you are doing within yourself and what you're doing consistently throughout your day. Whenever you want results, whenever you guys want to have something sooner than later, the mistake everybody makes that I see that comes to me, whether it's viewers, like comments I see and things like that, or emails and things like that, it's that they so badly want something, but it doesn't occur to them logically to live by the law. It's like, it's like a recipe. Let's say you're making pancakes and for a fact you need a cup of this, a cup of that, a tablespoon of this, and so on, right? But you're like, I want pancakes so bad, and instead I'm not going to follow the recipe. I'm going to then instead do my own thing, the opposite of the recipe, and then I'm going to complain when the pancake isn't made the way I want it to be made. And that's what a lot of you guys are doing. And I've seen this in my, in my clients, whether it's, email, voice message, doesn't matter, or just calls. And, it's something I've consistently been seeing recently. So I figured, hey, you know what? Let's just discuss this for everybody and get it all on the table. You can't, the law has certain rules within it, right? There's certain things that we have to follow, right? We understand that our beliefs shape our reality. Literally, your beliefs create and they shape your entire experience presently, but also what you're going to experience, right? And you have to understand it's all about changing your beliefs. And it doesn't mean you have to, just do things in vain and hope that one day your subconscious mind accepts it. No, there's much easier and faster ways to do things. And that's what all the ancients taught. That's what the greats taught. And that's why I teach only what, source material. And that's why I'm passing this on to you. If you want your results sooner than later, especially those of you on a time crunch for Valentine's Day, I want you to really understand it's about buckling down. And how do we do this, right? So now you guys are probably wondering, well, we're almost 5 minutes in and you're wondering, all right, get to the point. So, the way you get buckled down is you got to understand, right? Same thing with the recipe that I mentioned, right? You have to follow the recipe. And what are the recipes? It's what you believe to be true of yourself is going to become your experience, right? And how do we make something true of ourselves? How do we believe it? You start practicing changing those beliefs, and there's so many ways. And I'm going to read to you a specific excerpt from the book, The Nature of Personal Reality, from Seth and Jane Roberts, and it's a method. It's a very powerful and strong method. I've played around with it in the past. I personally prefer to just return to states, which is what I normally teach to people. It's what Neville taught. But for certain things that are very tough on me, like for me to change, I find that this helps big time. So I kind of mix and match, right? I don't always do things the same way, and I'm going to share with you one of the methods. And before I share with you one of the methods, you got to understand your whole focus should be your experience in the imagination. It should be, really, in other words, playfully pretending. So when you think about your goal, so let's say Valentine's Day is coming up, how would you prefer your Valentine's Day to go, right? And when you think about how you prefer it to go, don't just daydream about it, like step into that, right? And really like feel it, experience it. How would you feel if that was true right now? What if you were able to look back on the 15th of February and look back on the 14th from that memory as if it's a memory, and then pretty much be like, wow, that went great. Like if everything went well, and you could literally just like lay on your bed and kick your feet up and be like, oh my God, that was the best day ever. Like, thank God yesterday happened. Like, that was amazing. You would feel great, right? You would be relieved. You'd be excited. And all of that is an indicator that you've, in other words, shifted, right? So that's what you have to remember. It's about experiencing your imagination and understanding that your imagination is the one true reality. It's the only reality. Whatever you're conscious of is the present moment. And anything outside of that, it doesn't matter. That's why I tell people all the time, especially clients, stop judging your 3D physical circumstances, your reality. Everything out here is literally the past. It doesn't matter. It's old news. You're not going to pick up an old, magazine and get upset at a headline that you see. And you're not going to watch a news station from 10 years ago and be upset either. It makes no sense. But for some reason, you guys do it, right? And that's why I'm making this video. So the method I want to share with you, it's called the three-pronged method, right? And bear with me. Let me just pull it up for you guys. Oopsie, I just removed it by accident. Okay, so the three-pronged method is, there are various ways of altering the belief by substituting its opposite. One particular method is three-pronged. You generate the emotion opposite the one that arises from the belief you want to change. So it's saying, if you think about whatever, money, and it makes you feel like crap, okay, generate the opposite emotion, right? What's the opposite of feeling like crap because of money? Okay, you had money. How would that feel if that was true? Okay, opposite of the one that you want to change. And you turn your imagination in the opposite direction from the one dictated by the belief. At the same time, you consciously assure yourself that the unsatisfactory belief is an idea about reality and not an aspect of reality itself. That's key, guys. You realize that ideas are not stationary. Emotions and imagination move them in one direction or the other, reinforce them or negate them. Quite deliberately, you use your conscious mind playfully, creating a game as children do, in which for a time you completely ignore what seems to be in physical terms and pretend, quote unquote, pretend that what you really want is real. If you are poor, you purposely pretend that you have all you need financially. Imagine how you will spend your money. If you are ill, imagine playfully that you are cured. See yourself doing what you would do. If you cannot communicate with others, imagine yourself doing so easily. If you feel your days dark and pointless, then imagine them filled and joyful. Now, this may sound impractical, yet in your daily life, you use your imagination and your emotions often at the service of far less worthy beliefs. And the results are quite clear. And let me add, unfortunately practical. As it took a while, and what I'm about to say, this is key, guys. This is regarding the 3D. As it took a while for the unsatisfactory beliefs to become materialized, so it may be a time before you see physical results. But the new ideas will take growth and change your experience as certainly as the old ones did. The process of imagining will also bring you face to face with other subsidiary ideas that may momentarily bring you up short. You may see where you held two quite conflicting ideas simultaneously and with equal vigor. In such a case, you stalemated yourself. So guys, like that's the three-pronged method, and I love it. And that's the thing you gotta remember. It's about playfully pretending. That's why you hear me say it all the time. Even Neville says, playfully convince yourself. He tells you, like, convince yourself in that moment. You don't have to convince yourself 24/7 and that, you know, you have to be delusional and actually believe your 3D has changed. You're not identifying with what's out here. You're identifying with what's in here, what's in the mind, right? What's in your heart, you know, in what you're experiencing, what you're seeing. And whether it's a picture, whether it's a visual, like a scene, it doesn't matter. Identify with it. So if you even have a thought, right? And those of you that work with me, I do this with you and I show you how I manifest and what technique I use mainly to, you know, change my beliefs. And you know for a fact it's simple. For those of you that work with me, you can even write down in the comments how simple it actually is when I'm about to explain this. But I tell you guys, don't even visualize if you don't want to. Like, just test my way out, and if you like it, use it. And I tell them, okay, all I want you to do is bring the thought into your, you know, the thought of whatever it is you want to the back of your head. Don't close your eyes, you know, just find something, you know, zone out, stare at the ground, you like look in the ceiling, look straight ahead, it doesn't matter. But I tell them, you know, certain things that I want them to do, and then once that's in the back of their head, I instantly tell them, just in that moment, just playfully pretend like, what if it was actually true right now? And boom, just like that, they realize, oh my God, I feel amazing, I feel excited, and this was so easy, and I feel relieved and grateful, and so on and so on. And right then and there, I just showed them one way out of many ways that I show of how to embody a state. And I tell them, hey, if you like that, feel free to use it. And they realize, like, holy crap, all I gotta do is this if I want to, and I can skip the visuals and the techniques and stuff. Yeah, you can if you want to. That's what I do mainly. But you'll notice that when you enter that state, you kind of start seeing pictures afterwards, right? Or even as you're doing it. And that's fine, but remember, those things you see are things that you want to identify with, you experience with it. You don't just like start daydreaming and look up and be like, oh my God, yeah, if we went on a Valentine's Day, that'd be great. No, you like think about it and be like, what if it's true? Like right now, how would I feel in that moment? And in that moment, you're thinking to yourself like, wow, I feel so amazing. Like that'd be like, without even realizing it, you're feeling those emotions because you've accepted it. That's what I tell my clients too. Like I tell them what you just felt, that's not the important part, even though yes, it plays a big role. And the positive emotion can accelerate your results. So if you're good with emotions, by all means, use them. And I tell them it's the knowing, it's the acceptance, it's the belief that you have accepted that first unlocked that emotion. And that emotion, if you want, like I do, I use it as an indicator that I've switched. I've changed my state, because I ask them, hey, were you feeling this 5 seconds ago? And they tell me no. And I tell them, well, why do you think now you're feeling differently? And then it hits them like, oh my God, it was that easy. And that's the thing, guys. It's like, that's all you have to do. And what I want you to do is to be playful, like the three-pronged method, right? It's think about the thing that bothers you. Okay, we'll use example of SP, and then we'll use money after. So for SP, especially for Valentine's Day, and you're kind of worried. Okay, so you're worried that you won't get your SP, or you're worried that, oh, like I'm single. That's like a negative belief that you have, as an example. Okay, so what if you weren't single? And then really think about that. And you're going to notice that the emotion is going to rise out of you, right? But you have to really contemplate it. Don't just like say it and then like in your head or out loud and talk to yourself and then just like be like, okay, where is it? You know, like really think about it. Like dive into that question. Like, okay, I'm single. That's the negative belief. And I'm worried that I'm not going to get my date for Valentine's Day. Okay, cool. We understand this now. Now let's go to the opposite, right? So if that negative belief exists, that means the opposite has to as well, right? And remember, when you go to the opposite, now you start really accepting it. This is where you playfully pretend, accept it as true, just boom, no magic needed. And you're gonna notice that the emotion starts coming out of you, or at least a shift, something you're gonna feel. And that's your indicator that you've changed states, that you've accepted that belief. Okay, and all you gotta do is move on in your merry way, and then don't contradict that, because as Seth said in the ending, you know, don't stalemate yourself with equal emotion and, you know, pretty much contradict it. Even Neville talks about this, where he says if you do something, let's say negative, and it's so potent, and you feel it so real, and then you don't contradict it, you know, with equal or greater effort, or not effort, but I guess you should say feeling, then of course, then the thing has no like there's no choice for it but to pretty much manifest in the future down the road, right? And that might be 3 weeks from now or 2 months from now. You never know. And when it happens, you'll tell yourself, especially some people that I work with, right, in the past, they'll be like, I don't know how this happened. And I can tell you that's how it happened. You planted that seed and you didn't contradict it and you didn't change your belief, so you allowed it to flourish. And this is what we're doing. We're changing our beliefs. And every time we catch a bad belief, we go to the opposite and we experience it as if it was true, right? We use our imagination. We guide that. And we guide it to where we want it to be. So imagine going on that date. And same thing with money. If you're worried like, oh my God, I only make $2,000 a month. Okay, what if you were making $20,000 a month right now? Or if you're making $20,000 already, what if you're making double that, $40,000? What if that was true right now, right? Go to the end and really feel what it would feel like if that was true, if that was actual fact right now. Playfully pretend like a child. And that's what I want you guys to do. And I want you guys to go on in your merry way, trusting that that new belief is set in stone. And you're going to realize like, hey, like that's who I am. And when you're doing that, without knowing it, you're returning to the state as well. So you can kind of mix up both teachers' teachings and you can return to the state throughout the day. And when you really have time to sit down and really focus on, attacking your bad beliefs and swapping them for more beneficial ones, then do so, right? And really think about it and just enjoy it. And that's why I love mixing, teach specific teachers' techniques together. And, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's whatever you do in your mind as long as the end result is the same, okay? And just remember, if you want results sooner than later, and remember, it can happen in days, it could happen in a week, it could happen in 2, who knows? But if you are disciplined, and you refuse to look at your 3D and let it affect you, because every time you look at your 3D and you say to me, especially the ones I work with, and they tell me, oh, I noticed there's no movement for my SP, or my SP did this, and my mental diet's good, but I'm checking their, social media and they got like 3 new followers and they're girls and they're all hot. 2 of them are models and blah, 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 or whatever it may be. And you can't tell me your mental diet's good and then you're stalking to see changes because you're afraid of your fears coming true and you're trying to get confirmation that they haven't yet. And of course, what you're seeking and what you're fearing is going to reflect. So trust me, if you don't cut that out, it's going to happen sooner than later because you're consistently returning to that state of fear, which then becomes who you are, which then manifests fairly fast. Lucky for you, it takes longer for negative beliefs and negative emotions to manifest than it does for positive. Seth even talks about this in his books. So you already have a safety net working for you in your favor. Stop being afraid of the world. Stop being afraid of your thoughts. Remember, you can choose what you identify with. If you catch yourself entertaining the negative, guide it to the opposite, what you prefer. And if your 3D is bothering you, remember that thing that's bothering you is because you are believing that it's reality itself. As Seth mentioned in the three-pronged method, you have to realize you're just believing in an aspect of reality. It doesn't mean that that's how reality is, right? Reality is what you make it. And remember, you're just experiencing what you believe to be true. And when you start returning to a different thing that you want to be true, that's how you make it a habit. It becomes who you are. And that's why I love telling clients, don't be afraid of using your emotions. If you're like me, you use them all the time, right? It's so easy for me to feel relieved or loved or wealthy, whatever it may be. Because it's like simple. It's like I never grew up in a sense. Like I was always been in my imagination, even as an adult, right? It's like it never changed. I always trust my imagination, and every time I experience something, I do it real. Like if I see myself looking into my banking app and I see, for example, a certain number that I want, I can instantly feel the relief for that because I accept it. I don't question it. I don't use logic. I'm not looking at it robotically like, oh, here's a number. Like, no, I'm like, if this was true, holy crap, I'd be so happy. And me thinking about that actually being true is me playfully pretending. So anybody that wants the results sooner than later, you guys have to buckle down on your mental diet. Catch where your brain goes, and if it doesn't serve you, cut that off and go to where you want it to be, right? Where would you prefer? And start catching your negative beliefs and remind yourself, those are just beliefs I hold about reality. It doesn't mean that's how reality actually has to be and is. And the more you practice this, the less those things are going to bother you, and the more positive thoughts you're going to have, the more better experiences you're going to have because you're changing your beliefs, right? You're practicing returning to a new state, a new set of consciousness, a new set of beliefs. And, it's all you're doing is you're practicing not reacting and trusting in the scary stuff. And instead, you're trusting in the in the imagination, right? You're trusting in God, you're trusting in source, your higher self, right? You know for a fact, because I've planted the seed and I've selected that reality, I know it's already on its way. And now that you know it's on its way, guess what? You can now be rest assured, just like a lottery win. If you won the lottery and you knew the money was guaranteed to come in the next 30 days via mail, through a check, right? Then you know for a fact when you think about money, you're not going to worry. You're instead going to be thinking, what am I going to be doing? Oh man, I feel so relieved knowing it's coming. I'm just excited. I can't wait for it to arrive here. And by doing that, you're already thinking of the end. You're thinking from it, right? You're in that state. The same thing applies to this, to love, to money, to health, you name it. But you have to find those beliefs. And remember, don't just write down the bad beliefs, write down the good beliefs too, because I don't want you guys focusing on just the negative. And even Seth talks about this. Don't focus on just the bad, focus on the good ones you have too, right? Don't make your whole world negative. But write down the negative ones and then write down what the opposite would be if that helps you. And then experience that opposite, accept those opposites as true. Because remember, at the same time, you remind yourself that you're only believing these things because you believe that's what reality is when it isn't, right? It's just an aspect of reality. It's just one of the infinite possibilities and beliefs that you could hold. So it's all about buckling down. From the point that you finish this video, are you going to then promise yourself and be consistent that every time you start thinking of your goal, you're going to decide to take your mind where you want to go? Are you going to take it to fulfillment, to that Valentine's Day date? Or even go a month ahead of that, right? Go in the future. Are you going to start focusing on what happens if Valentine's Day went well and then you guys started going on more dates, right? If you got that commitment you wanted, if you got that money you wanted, that raise you wanted, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Start focusing on being that person. Start focusing on having it now. Remember, what you are now and repeatedly become is what's going to be your future experience. And there's a short time delay in the 3D, and I don't care what teachers you watch to tell you, oh no such thing, then explain to me why so many source teachers, including Seth, who knows more than any human to ever live, because they got information, they're directly at source, they literally tell you how the universe works, and they tell you there's a short time delay. So I doubt that a human is going to know more than Seth, especially an entity that has predicted many things that no human could ever have predicted decades ago. So it's like, I'll take the word of Seth, who has changed millions of lives, over somebody saying, oh no, there's no such thing as time delay. Trust me, like, just stick to source material. Don't trust us humans fully, right? And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, even I'm not perfect. I'm not saying only trust me. Even I'm not perfect. I know I'm not going to know more than someone on the other side that's channeling me information, as an example, right? So that's why I tell people, read the source material. Stay away from, trusting, only YouTube. Read the books. When you read the books, you'll realize 95% of people teaching the law on any platform never picked up a book in their life. And I don't mean that to hurt anyone. And if it bothers someone, ask yourself why it bothers you. Because if it's true, right? Because if it wasn't true, you wouldn't be upset, right? And I don't kind of mean to like turn this into a thing where it's like, you have to only trust the books, but just realize it's no attack on anyone. It's more so me protecting you guys. You are my family, you're my community, and it's my job to guide you. And I'm only here to awaken what's already been within you this whole time. And I can't sit here knowing what I know and telling you, yeah, guys, just depend on YouTube. Just take the word of anyone. No, read the books. And when you study the books, you're going to realize who knows what. And you're going to be able to see who studied and who didn't. And you'll be able to save yourself years, because I am telling you, my email clients and all my clients that I work with, a huge chunk of them have been years in doing this and misled horribly. And that's why I make these videos for you guys. So that being said, that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted this video to be. It's about proper mental diet. It's about guiding your mind of where you want it to go. What do you want to become? And then become it in that moment again and again and again. Realize anything negative that you're fearing and that you're feeling negative about is because you're believing in that negative thing, that you're believing that's how reality is. But it doesn't have to be. And you can change that, because your whole experience is based on your beliefs. And what you're going to experience is based on what you're doing on the inside. So remember, guys, when you start applying the law and living by it, don't let your 3D fool you. It is not the true present reality. It is not real in the sense that you think it is. Yes, you can touch it. Yes, you can sense it. But it's the past. It's dead and old, right? The only thing that's real and true right now is what you're doing in here. So if you start feeling like you are something that you're physically not in your reality, it doesn't matter. That's who you are in the present. And the more you practice becoming that person, it becomes natural, which then reflects fast. And your only job is to be dedicated to returning to that state, to make it natural to you, to change your beliefs, to swap out the bad ones for the ones that serve you, and stay clear of anything that is going to limit you in some form, right? Focus on being the person you want to be. And any negative thing that pops up in your 3D, who cares? Look at it like, I don't give a crap. I'm trusting what's in here and what's in my heart that I felt true more than what's out here. And by doing that, I promise you, if you refuse to have faith in the 3D more than your inner world, then you are going to thrive. And that's how I got my results in days. Because when I first discovered the law, I had zero trust in my 3D. I was in no contact, I was broke, I was this and that. I didn't give a crap. I just said, you know what, if this stuff works, it's gonna change my world. I have nothing to lose. And if it doesn't, then oh well, at least I only wasted 30 days. So that being said, that's what I did, and I looked at it from that perspective, and no matter what, I just kept remembering, creation is finished. I don't have to lift a finger. God will figure it out for me, my higher self. I know that I'm not smarter than my soul, and in other words, my entity, my fragment of God. That they know everything. They'll move everything for me. I just got to trust and have faith and become that person. So we have the easy job. We just got to return to what we want to be, and we got to become it and walk in that conviction, as Neville says, right? If you get up from this video to go get food, just for 5 seconds, walk in that conviction that it's done and it's who you are, and that because you experienced that, it's on its way. Don't you feel good doing that? And that's how it should be, guys. So just focus on returning to this state and focus on kind of not trusting your physical senses, right? For just the next chunk of time until Valentine's Day hits, for those of you manifesting SP movement and stuff, trust your imagination. I don't care what they say, if they unfollow you, if they block you, if they make you unfollow them, whatever it is in your 3D, and write it down on little post-it notes if you need it. And if you're on a computer all day, then put them around your computer screen or something. Do not trust the 3D reality. 3D reality is not the present moment, and it's not true reality, right? You could even write down, imagination is the one and only true reality, or consciousness, whichever you want to put, and things like that, and even write down, creation is finished. And these are like little reminders you got to tell yourself, so that you kind of realize, like, okay, if creation is finished, then that means I just simply have to step into that belief of what it would be like to be that person. What if it was true now? And because that's existing right now. The same moment that you're feeling like whatever you are and that you don't have your desire, there's realities where you have your desire. There are infinite probable realities. Start selecting the ones you want. And that's all I want from you guys, okay? So that being said, I hope you guys liked this video, and give me a thumbs up if you did. I got a good feeling about this video. I think it's going to help a lot of you guys, and I might even make a part 2. And one thing I want to tell you guys is, if you made it this far, feel free to start asking questions in the comments of anything you want me to answer, because I most likely am going to make a third Q&A video to release it for you guys, and I'll be looking at the questions in this video. And one last thing, I'm thinking about doing a YouTube live and just answering questions for everyone for free. Like, I don't want anything from you guys. And if that's the case, if you guys would like that, feel free to let me know in the comments, but also write down like what times in time zone that you would prefer, right? Because I'm going to get a general consensus, and I'm going to just figure out a time that works for everyone. But don't worry, the live, when I do it, it will be uploaded to YouTube for free. There's not going to be a paywall for that live and stuff, so it'll be available for those of you that miss it. So that being said, I love you all very much, and remember, guys, you have the same power that I have. The God in me is no different than the God in you. The only difference is I use my brain a little bit different than you guys. And I know a little bit more because I've studied for years. And I've applied and made more mistakes than you guys have. That's okay. You don't have to wait years to get results. You could get results in days. You can get it in weeks. Just be consistent with the law and trust yourself, okay? So that being said, take care and have yourself a wonderful day, guys.